Hello everyone. Today we are going to install Galera Manager on an Amazon EC2 instance, and it is going to deploy 3 nodes in AWS for MariaDB. So we can always evaluate Galera Manager here, and I've already got the EC2 dashboard running, so I will go and launch an instance. I will call it GM, and I will choose Ubuntu, which is the 220464-bit variant. I cannot use the free tier because it is probably too small, but I am okay with using a T2 small instance. I will proceed to getting myself a keypad that I have. I will allow HTTPS and HTTP traffic from the internet, and then I will launch the instance. This is a process that should not take too long. I have an IP where the instance state is pending. Shortly the instance should be, well, it is now up and running. SSH has not started yet. In the meantime, instead of just clicking download Galera Manager, let's not forget that you can also read it, and we also have some quick start guides available for you. Instance is now ready. So I'll become the root user. And then I will head over to the Galera Manager documentation to find this rather important URL. I'll make it executable. And I have it here already, so let me just double check. The version is 1.120, and I will accept the installation. Enter the same password twice. Make sure we get that IP address real quick, and we will let the instance install itself. So this is a good time obviously to read that documentation to know what you can do with Galera Manager. Of course, there are a few quick start guides on how you can deploy on EC2, own on-premise hosts, and of course, when you need help, everything is available on GitHub. So notice that there really is only one instance running. And to get prepped, let's go down to security credentials, because we are going to use the AWS access key. So I'm going to create an access key. And then I'm going to download that as a CSV file. It's called rootkey.csv. That will be a little handy fairly shortly. This process typically takes no longer than 5 minutes, and as you can see, it is pulling in things from other repositories like InfluxDB, Nginx, and so on. It is not recommended for you to make any substitutions or in terms of ports or have anything on this machine when you're making said install. Galera Manager best runs on a machine that is completely fresh and empty. GMD is now starting, which means soon we don't have to do anything via the command line. We can do everything via the GUI. As you can see, some ports are open. Very importantly, it does mention you should open up port 8081. So right before we log in, let's hop on over to security. Notice that we only have port 80 open, so let's now make sure we also have the ability to have 8081. From everywhere. And we're back to EC2 with one instance running. And voila, we have Galera Manager here, version 183. Let's deploy a fully managed cluster in AWS EC2. We'll call it MariaDB. We will use the latest MariaDB 10.11 and we will deploy it on more Ubuntu 22.04s. In this case, I'm going to use EC2. I'm going to drop that down to 10 gigabytes. If you notice, it asks for an access key and a secret key. So I'm going to just make this as a quick copy. And you will notice that it will now double check to make sure that you have the permissions, and only then do you get verified ticks. So here we are using EU Central 1. Let's also launch in EU Central 1 for what it's worth. And let's use a small instance size. In this case, I'm going to use a T2 medium as well. And then I'm going to click the create button. I'm not entering any SSH keys here because I have decided that I will only want to use the SSH console, but you can of course enter your own SSH keys as well. So now we are creating a cluster, and actually we have to click the add nodes button. I'm going to add 3 nodes and we're going to call them MariaDB, and we are going to hit the deploy button because everything else is something you don't change. This is of course what I would consider to be a blocking operation. You must keep this window open during the time that this deployment is started. So it can take a little bit of time. And of course we can click to show logs, but nothing is happening at this very moment. So let's wait it out for a little bit. If you are very curious to know what is going on, there is actually var log gmd, which will actually tell you what is going on here. You can even see what it's actually doing in terms of deployment and how it is moving right along. Naturally, you can click here also to see the package list, what is going on a per node basis. And a lot of this happens also in parallel for what it is worth. So you see everything is currently running. We reach a stage where you have node installations followed by a node start. So do not close this window. As you can see, 2 nodes have already completed. And as always, in this time you can always read the blog, which has all the latest and greatest information available to you. All our release announcements are published here, including webinars, etc. And you will notice that it does use security groups with regards to firewalls, etc. as well. Two nodes have already been installed, as you can see, hence why the saving Galera Manager node data. So node initialization has just ended for that. We're already, all nodes are ticked. So one node, and we now have a 3-node Galera cluster up and running. Of course, we want to see some granular data. We can always see it for the last 5 minutes. And I can just log on to an SSH terminal right here, type that, show status like wsrep cluster size, and voila, you have a 3-node Galera cluster. You can, of course, feel free to stop nodes. You can start nodes. You can take a look at the logs of the entire cluster deployment. You can do various jobs. And once you have access, naturally, if we go here with the SSH terminal, pop it into a new window if I'd like, to show databases. If I create the database test, and this is on one of the nodes, naturally if I go here and I type the SSH terminal option, and if I do that, of course I will see test available. So there you have it, a nice 3-node Galera cluster automatically deployed in Amazon EC2. And just for the record, you will see that you've gone from 1 node to now 3 extra nodes, which is what we've used to create a Galera cluster in the cloud. And one Galera Manager, as you know, can maintain multiple Galera instances. So we have a nice version of MariaDB fully deployed in the cloud for you. Thank you for watching. Please give Galera Manager a try.